Welcome everyone to enter the Popverse episode 2. Did you know what was going to happen? There was no video. I sure didn't. My name is Victoria Robinson, and I am the video producer here at the Popverse. Welcome so much to our weekly chat show where we are talking all things geek news, featuring amazing interviews. If you want to ask a question or leave a comment or anything like that, of course you can leave a comment here on YouTube and we can bring them up on the screen throughout this chat. If you don't know, the Pop is a virtual realm created by Read Pop, and we celebrate the best in TV, movies, and comics. If
Hey, I can't. The volume. I can't hear you. I'm gonna log off and log back on. 2 seconds.
Can everybody hear me? Okie dokie. Can you
Yay!
hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh my goodness, what a blessing. This is one of the funnest things about doing these things live is things happen. Okay, let's all pretend that we really enjoyed this time on set. This is going to go on the blooper reel. It was so cute. Take 2. Huh! Please help me in welcoming the incredible talent behind Black Lightning, DC Power Celebration #1. And you haven't seen it yet, but Star Wars Young Jedi Adventures, Lamont Magee is here. Yay!
Hey, everyone. Nice to
How
talk.
are you? How is it going today after all of that wildness?
Uh, it's great. It's great to be here. Thank you for the invite, and I appreciate any time you call me to do anything.
Well, you know that I think the world of you, so thank you for joining us. But let's get right into it. I don't want to take up too much of your time, especially because my microphone was having a moment. So I want to ask, how did Separate But Equal, which is your contribution to DC Power, how did that come to be? I know the story. Tell everybody else.
So I wrote on Black Lightning for the whole run, and when the editor Marquise Draper came across like the idea of putting Black Lightning in the book, he was like, "Let's call Lamont." And I was like, "Great, perfect, love it, I'm in." And he asked me to come up with a story for the 8 pages, and I had this idea that I was kicking around with a showrunner from another show. He shall not be named, but you know who you are. Love you much. So there was an idea of Jefferson going somewhere to visit another friend in the universe, and while he was there, this separate but equal story would take place where Jefferson is there to basically fight for the rights of the Medicaid because people are afraid of their latent abilities, or they could be labeled as dangerous or violent even if they're not doing anything just because they have these abilities.
Hmm.
Just automatically dovetailed into a separate but equal argument where it's always separate and never equal. So I just wanted to tell that story of you don't have to fear the things you don't understand. Like, love really does conquer most things. So if you understand people and want to understand them, I don't think the violence really happens as much. Uh, so that was kind of the idea behind Separate but Equal.
I also want to encourage people, if you haven't checked it out yet, the last line of the last panel literally gave me chills. And you wrote this story so cinematically. Obviously, you did a lot of time on Black Lightning. Was this kind of like a homecoming or maybe a closing of a chapter?
It is it's a homecoming. I like going back to revisit Black Lightning because that character meant a lot to me, and it meant a lot to a lot of people because, you know, cinematically, whether it's TV features, we don't have a lot of people that represent the different levels of an urban neighborhood.
Mhm.
Usually it's people are portrayed one way or the other. The good thing about Black Lightning is you got to see the levels. You got to see the upper class black families, the middle class black families, like families that were struggling, but they all were there trying to help each other. And Jefferson was the linchpin. So this story is basically Jefferson gets to be a hero and Black Lightning gets to be a hero. I didn't want to
Mhm.
just make it a Black Lightning story where he comes in and saves the day. I wanted it to make it this man who's an educator is trying to make a difference, and being able to tell those stories matters to me because teachers have always mattered to me.
Mhm. Your sweater also, by the way, is getting a lot of love in the comments, and also the art on the wall behind you. Tom Trainer says that he loves it.
Now, it's the crisis poster over there,
Oh
which
yeah,
is
Lamont
why
worked on Crisis, if I didn't say that, by the way.
yes, I did. The Black Lightning Flash stuff, I got to work with like Eric Wallace and Sterling Gates. I was like, what's Sterling first name? Uh, Sterling and I got to write that library scene where Jefferson and Barry
Mhm.
meet, and it was one of the most surreal moments of my life because growing up, I watched all these characters on TV and cartoons, and you would never think that these people would exist in live action. And I remember the first day I was on set for Crisis, we were on the Wave Rider.
Mhm.
Two Supermen. You got Diggle, you Black Lightning. Who else was there? The everyone. That was like one of those big fight sequences, and I was just I called it superhero summer camp because I was just such a blast. So I'm a DC guy, but I'm a Spider-Man guy as well. So it's like you get one fandom and then one person from the other side. I think that's the rule. So I'm a DC guy, but I love Spider-Man.
With a sprinkle of Spider-Man on top.
Yeah, because that's why I can't wait. I hope they do Static at some point
They
because
have to, right?
it's our Spider-Man. It's DC Spider-Man, the smart kid, the science kid who gets abilities, kind of like Virgil is less of a outcast than Peter was,
Mhm.
but I can't wait to see that. That's the thing I want to see.
Okay,
And then,
so what I'm hearing is Lamont loves Static. Lamont should write Static. Let's all get on Twitter and tweet at WB that we want the Lamont Magee Static movie. I'm so glad that you brought up other fandoms because of course, I have to ask you about the Star Wars of it all and the young Jedi adventures of it all. And right off the bat, I want to ask from a writerly perspective, a lot of the stories that you tell are for like a teen and up audience, and Young Jedi Adventures is for like a little person and down audience. Was that a real adjustment for you?
uh, you have to take out the sarcasm, but for the most part, the stories are the same. All stories are there to teach lessons. All stories are there to show heart and compassion and courage and all that. But you have to just distill it down to the basest elements so kids
Mhm.
follow it. But adults will be able to watch it with their kids and go, "This is fun. I like this." It's not just for kids. Like we made it in a way where it's definitely for kids 3 and under and 3 and up, and everything is great. But their parents can sit down and enjoy it because it's also the first time their kids, if they're in this fandom,
Mhm.
this is the first time they can sit down and watch Star Wars with their kids.
Mhm.
They're gonna love it. It's a great show. Like, I can't wait for people to see it.
Can you tease us a little bit about Kai Brightstar, who's the lead of the show, and can you maybe, let us know which episodes you really think we should be looking out for?
Honestly, uh, I'm not even gonna talk about my episodes. I'm gonna say you should watch all the episodes
Yes.
because each episode comes with a lesson.
Mhm.
So it's sometimes, kids are kids. They don't listen to their parents, but they
Mhm.
will listen to a TV show. It's just the way the world works. But um, and as far as Kai goes, he's just a kid who really believes in what he's doing. Like,
Mhm.
I can't say anything else because I feel like I have every camera on me from
Yeah.
and they're like, "We've been working on this show for how many years?" And you gave that away 3 months or 4 months before. Nope, not getting me. But I will say you should watch it. Anybody can watch it. It's amazing. The animation's amazing. The characters are cute and lovable, and everybody's gonna become like best friends. And I can't wait until Halloween when these costumes come out and I see little Kai Bright Stars running around with their lightsabers. Like, if I can have Black Lightning kids and
Mhm.
Bright Stars running around, look, I've done a lot. I've
You've done all the good work.
Good work. I'm really happy that I got brought on to Black Lightning when I did, and like that team allowed me to be the geeky, nerdy fandom kid that was like, "Hey, but can we go a little bit further? How about this?" Like, I was
Mhm.
always that guy in the room. But I look forward to hopefully it having some presence, uh, like Star Wars Young Jedi Adventures having some presence for years to come,
I have a
molding new lines and such.
I have a couple comments from the chat that I want to bring in as we are preparing to sadly let Lamont go. Jake Hefner says, hot take, Static is cooler than Spider-Man. You can't see, but our next guest is applauding right now in the green room.
Yes, but Virgil is cooler than Peter. That is what I
100%. Can you
Yes.
imagine? Like, Virgil would have 1,000,000 times the TikTok followers that Peter would have, or whatever the children are on now.
Yeah. Spider-Man and Static are the same.
Mhm.
Virgil is cooler than Peter.
Yes. Oh, well said. That's why you're a professional writer. Brian McGarity says, I have a toddler and had no idea Star Wars Young Jedi Adventures was coming out. You're welcome. Lamont, you're welcome.
May the 4th.
I know. Isn't that cute? I'm super psyched about it. So we'll be watching every episode. So when you watch it and you love it, be sure to find Lamont on social media and tell him how much you loved the show.
Yes. No hate, all love.
No, there's truly no point in hating anything. Lamont, I think you're a genius. I adore you so much. I'm gonna let you go because the power of my microphone has pushed us over the time. But can you let everybody know where they can find you, where they can follow you, where they can come and share the joy about Black Lightning, DC Power, and Young Jedi Adventures?
You can follow me at Lamont Magee, LamontMagee on Twitter while I'm still there. And then I have at LAMAGEE 33. That's my IG. And LinkedIn, it's just my name, Lamont Magee. I'm easy.
You got LinkedIn? You're a grown-up.
I have to lie to people sometimes and pretend.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us today here in the Popverse, and I hope that we'll have you back very soon.
I have things to tell you later, so yes.
Yay! Bye. Oh, friends, countrymen, Romans, thank you for lending me your patience. You are all beautiful, and I appreciate you. We're going to roll right into our next story, and for that, I need the Popverse staff's #1 choice to consistently be on camera, the genius, the best accent in the game, Mr. Graeme McMillan is here.
No pressure with the best accent.
Absolutely not. What are you talking about?
I was so tempted to tell you that I couldn't hear you just to see what happened.
Oh, no. You know what? Joke's on me because I don't know why that happened. And now I get to stress about that later. But Graeme, I brought you in today because 1, you're a genius. 2, I adore you. And 3, we have this incredible news about Calvin and Hobbes' Bill Watterson coming back to comics? ?
It's wonderful, isn't it? And completely unexpected.
Tell me about it. Give me your hottest of hot takes as I scroll through some of this information for people.
Oh, so Bill Watterson is the creator behind Calvin and Hobbes. He is as famous, I think, not only for doing Calvin and Hobbes, but for stopping Calvin and Hobbes. He quit Calvin and Hobbes at its height in 1995 and famously became a recluse. Like, the amount of Bill Watterson material that has come out since is, I mean, you can count it on your fingers. He has done a cover for, he did a poster for a film called Stripped. He did art for Angle M in 2015. And he did a painting for Pearls Before Swine. And that is it in terms of his art. And in terms of writing, he's written a few essays and he's done maybe 3 or 4 interviews. He disappeared entirely. And given how much everyone loved Calvin and Hobbes, that was a big deal. Calvin and Hobbes was utterly beloved. You know, one of the, core texts of newspaper strips in America in the 20th century. And he just stopped. He just disappeared.
He's like, I'm good, I'm tired, bye.
Yeah, right. But also famously before that, he was open about, I think the newspaper strips are not what they used to be. I don't think they get the attention. I don't think they get the care. And then he just went, which was amazing. I mean, talk about a mic drop. So the idea that he is returning for anything, never mind for, I think he's calling it a fable for grown-ups. The Mysteries, which is coming out in October, this book that he's written with John Cash doing the art, is amazing and was such a surprise,
Okay, so what is your take on him transitioning from like a very all ages story to adult storytelling? Like, are people going to want this? Is it too weird? Is it too much of a step?
Of course they're going to want this. The people who read Calvin and Hobbes as kids are now 28 years older. You know, like they've all grown up. We've all grown up. I grew up in Calvin and Hobbes. I'm sure you grew up in Calvin and Hobbes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so of course they're looking for something new, but also, you know, and Chris wrote a story which was really good about this. You know,
Chris Arendt, our editor in chief.
Chris Arendt, our editor in chief, but he wrote a story about, you know, is this book essentially a parable about Watterson's experience, right? Like, is he writing about himself in metaphor? And Watterson's always done that. You know, like we think of Watterson as this wonderful cartoonist, and he is. I'm not saying that in the sense of he's not, you know, one of the most distinctive artists, but as a writer, he was amazing. You know, and his writing does not get nearly enough credit. He was always able to translate a very specific experience of his into something that is universal. You know, so the idea that he's doing this with this new book, you know, I'm there. I was there immediately.
I have to ask, because if we're talking about newspaper strips and we're talking about Calvin and Hobbes specifically, Calvin and Hobbes v. Peanuts, where do you come down on the argument? Is this about to destroy our friendship?
Oh, is it? I mean, it's for me, it's always Peanuts. I'm
Yes,
sorry. Have I destroyed it? I was going to say, are we not friends anymore?
Some people go, look, Calvin and Hobbes is incredible. The legacy, you know, we wouldn't be here. Like, our top story wouldn't be Bill Watterson if it wasn't for, of course, the impact of that comic strip. But that debate is heartfelt. And
I mean, but even Watterson would agree that it's Peanuts. You know, Peanuts did so much and established this space for, you know, funny stories that kids like. You know, again, as a kid, I love Peanuts, but you get older and you're like, oh, Peanuts is actually really sad half the time. Yeah. And I didn't realize, you know, there's this melancholy in Peanuts that you don't appreciate as a kid. And I think Calvin and Hobbes has a lot of that, but, you know, Schultz made that space. He built that for everyone.
What do you think about people's take that this is not a comic book?
I mean, it's not, in that it's an illustrated picture book, but also, so what? You know, no, but really, it's one of the most important writers for the comic book medium writing fiction for the first time in almost 30 years. You know, I don't care that it's not literally, you know, a cartoon. Like, it's still going to be worth paying attention to. It's still going to be beautiful. And again, can we talk about John Cash art? Like, a lot of people have been complaining that Watterson isn't illustrating this. But if you look at the preview, and again, that's in Chris's story. When you click through to Chris's story, you can see preview pages. The art is beautiful. Like, Gash is this amazing caricaturist and illustrator who's done stuff for Time, for New York Times, for Entertainment Weekly, for Rolling Stone. And the work he's putting into this looks, to my money, like if you had James Jean and Dave McKean collaborate on a fantasy story, which who can complain about that, really?
I mean, Twitter can find a way. I want to say that our own Tiffany Babb disagrees with us about the Calvin and Hobbes v. Peanuts thing, which Tiffany, how dare?
Yeah,
how
I'm sorry,
dare.
Tiffany. Yeah, we followed out.
And so does Tom Trainer. You're breaking my heart. But Tiffany does come in and say, we do like both. All love and all respect. I
Tiffany.
think it's, is this a comic book thing? I find that really funny because it reminds me of things that a lot of big creators are doing in like indie spaces right now, where it's like an image with text over it, but it's being published by a comic book publisher. So we call it a comic book. I would say that this project feels something more like when you read a Brahm book and there's those woodcut style illustrations in it, like The Child Thief, for example. And I'm excited to see what type of mythology Watterson is going to be building here, because I think that's what people love so much about Calvin and Hobbes, is the depth of the world and the storytelling there.
Yeah, it's not just the 3-panel strip, right? There's the 3-panel strip, but there's everything around it. And by the time that Calvin and Hobbes ended, there was this universe. You know, there's Susie, there's the parents, there's this like fantasy world that you inhabit with Calvin. You know, that that like. There's the joke about no one knows the rules to Calvin Ball, but everyone knows the rules to Calvin and Hobbes. By the time you finish that, you understand that world. And I can't wait to see what Watterson is going to do now.
Well, on that note, great take. Graeme, where can everybody find you online? Where can they come fight with you about who's better, Calvin and Hobbes or the Peanuts? I know you don't want to be found online. I know that's for a fact.
It is true. I'm on Twitter at Graeme M, at GraemEm. You have to spell my name and then add an M at the end. And I'm on Popverse. I'm at thepopverse.com. Those are the places you can find me, and anywhere else, I'm going to pretend it's not me.
Graeme frequently is like most of the stories that we talk about here. So go follow him for all of that. Thank you for letting me bully you into coming on.
I will
You're an
always be bullied by you.
angel. And we will see you live at Emerald City Comic Con in just a couple of weeks.
In a couple of weeks. Thank you very much.
Bye. Okay, that was so much fun, friends. Thank you for fighting with us. And we're reminding you this is where you can find Graeme on Twitter in case you don't know how to spell. Spelling is hard, but also Graeme deserves all the follows. And don't forget that you can read all of his stories if you go to his author page on the popverse.com. If he is not our most prolific contributor, he's definitely one of them. So please be sure and go there. And if you're a new follower to Graeme, tell him that I sent you so that we can all know that it's my fault. All right, friends, I would be remiss if I left you today without talking about Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Oh, psh, we're so tiny. Oh, there's ants. Oh, what's going on? Oh, psh. A lot is actually going on, I want to say. And Tiffany Babb, I was going to use a swear, our argument stirrer in the comments, and our deputy editor got to go and see Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania early. She has a really great review, which you can read right here if you read very quickly, or you can read in full over on thepopverse.com. I am not going to scroll too far down because I don't want to get into potential spoilers for anyone because I know the movie just dropped out. I do especially want to give Tiffany kudos because I read this review before I went out and watched Ant-Man, and I thought it was a really, really great primer for expectations, what this movie was going to be doing. And how I was going to relate to it. So I want to thank her for putting that review out. I think it's really, really well done. We also have a ton of other Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania content, including a piece from Graeme that we talked about last week about is Quasar going to be appearing, kind of talking about the character that William Jackson Harper plays. We have a lot that are non-spoilery. So if you're the kind of person where your life is really busy and you can't get out to see Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania until this weekend, then you can go and read all of our non-spoilery content. It's really great prep. It's really great fun stuff that's going on. I also want to let you know that I saw Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania yesterday. I finished it about 12 hours ago. I'm not going to give you a ton of spoiler thoughts here. I do want to let you know that over on our Instagram at instagram.com at Popverse Says, there will be a reel coming out with me talking about my thoughts, what I think you need to know before going to see Ant-Man coming out this weekend. And you can find all of our Ant-Man 3 stories, of course, if you go right over to this link. But one of the things that we are really trying to do is make sure that we have content for all of these great movies that are coming out that hit theories, that hit spoilers, that hit reviews, that are video content, so that you can get the most exciting content possible. We have 2 great pieces that are coming out this weekend that I really, really, really want to make sure that you check out. One of them, I really want to encourage you to have seen Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania before you check out, and it tells you about a fascinating and specific comic book that directly inspires one of the end credit scene. Before you tweet at me, it is not a spoiler to say that there is an end credit scene. Marvel has many end credit scenes all of the time, and Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania is no different. So we go into the comic book origins of that particular. I'm trying so hard not to spoil it for everyone. Please go and check that out. It's gonna also, shall we say, tie into a show that is coming out in the future of the MCU because everything is tied together now. That is coming out this weekend. We also have a piece coming out this weekend explaining why the legendary science fiction and comic book author Harlan Ellison got a thank you in the Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania trailer. That is a long title to say. If you don't know who Harlan Ellison is or why this is so cool, you have some homework to do before that piece comes out this weekend, my friend, because it is absolutely a name that you should know and a writer whose work you should be checking out. So, no one shared their Ant-Man takes with me. I'm so sad. If you want to, please go ahead and I'll pop your comments up if you've seen it. No spoilers, please. And then I teased this in the beginning, but I do want to let you know that with Emerald City coming up, Emerald City Comic Con, we are just announcing guests and we are announcing events and we are announcing panels left and right and center. And there is so much exciting stuff going on. And I am super biased by this announcement because I'm a part of it. We are having a panel with the Our Flag Means Death cast, which we've had at many conventions because they are incredible and they love to share their time and their love and their energy and the goodness of the show with us. And we have Reese and Samba and Vico all coming out to Emerald City Comic Con. I'm hosting the panel. You can't see it, but in this door behind me, in that room, there is the cat flag from Our Flag Means Death. I'm so excited to be joining them. I'm so excited to be I just like the energy is going to be so good. I'm going to geek out. It's going to be so great. And you can watch this because, like I mentioned at the top, we are live streaming a bunch of panels from Emerald City Comic Con direct to thepopverse.com. So all you have to do is when this panel is streaming, just click over to the link, come over to the website. You can watch me, see if my audio issues persist, see if I can keep myself together talking to. Look at how attractive this cast is. It's criminal. It's unfair. I got to convince them to take a picture with me. They're going to make my Instagram look so much better. You can actually bookmark the link right now so that you'll never lose it. You won't have to Google it. You won't have to go through all of the amazing content that we bring you on the Popverse every single day. That is where you can get directly the Our Flag Means Death panel. Can you believe how lucky am I? There's also going to be a ton of other amazing panels that you can stream directly through the website. We mentioned the Cosplay Central Crown Championship. I think I got all the C words in the right order. That is going to be live streamed. I have had the honor of interviewing a lot of the winners from last year. The creativity and the craftsmanship that come out of those cosplay competitions is absolutely next level. So if you're into cosplay, please check that out. And oh, you're so sweet. Who knows? There might be some more original videos from Ashley very soon. There will definitely be some more original videos from me all the time here. So I hope you like the space. I hope you like the energy. Because if you don't, there's not much left for you, my dear friends. Graeme also says, don't tempt me to come back on and talk about Ant-Man. Graeme, don't tempt me with a good time. Tell me about Ant-Man. Oh, now I can't hear you. Now you're muted. Okay, bye, Graeme. I can't hear you. That's why. See,
it's my fault.
There we go.
Myself.
This is your fault.
I muted myself. That was me. That was me.
No, but really, do you have Ant-Man thoughts? Tell me them.
I'm curious if you liked it because I don't think I did. I feel somewhat guilty about that.
You did not?
I did not.
I sure did not. I did not.
We're united in this. It's funny. I've seen a lot of people complain that it doesn't do a full story, but I don't think that's the problem. I think the problem is that the story. There's a very specific plot hole in the center of Ant-Man.
Only one?
There's a really big one that multiple other Popverse people have been trying to talk me out of, saying it's not actually a plot hole. But put it this way, I may pitch a story about this plot hole because it is central to there's a particular thing that a certain character wants that they could have done at the start of the film.
Yes. And
for some reason, no one ever realizes that.
I do want to say, this is a great question from Jeremy Ross saying, was it fun? I would say it is fun in the house style of Marvel movies, right?
I would say there is a lot of things that are fun about it. So you I both went on an opening night crowd, and I love seeing Marvel movies specifically with an opening night crowd because they are the hardcore fans, right? I can be cynical about all the movies or shows or whatever, but when you go with an opening night crowd, they want to be there. They're really excited. The crowd I was with applauded the Marvel Studios logo at the start of the film. Right? Wow. They're into it. Right? They love it. And what was really interesting was their enjoyment of the film audibly got quieter the more the film went on.
Oh, interesting.
Right? Interesting. And that was because. And I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't seen it. You should go and see it, right? Yeah. I'm not going to yuck your yum at all. But there's parts where it sort of seems more concerned with setting up future things than actually telling a story that's makes sense, for want of a better way of putting it. And there's bits that pay off gags from earlier films, which is fun, but the way in which they do it might not be the best.
Yes. I would agree.
Again, I'm not going to spoil things, but there are some specific things that, again, the crowd I was with laughed and then audibly went, huh? Which, when you're in a movie theater and there's a collective confused gasp, that's an amazing experience. It is fun, I think, right?
It's thematically, I would say, closer to something like Thor: Love and Thunder than maybe Doctor Strange,
or the earlier Ant-Man films,
or the earlier Ant-Man films. And that's my biggest issue with it, is it's an Ant-Man film and it's a cosmic character film, and they kind of do this with it. Yeah. And it's, in my opinion, not super effective for a character like Ant-Man, who, and this is what I loved about Tiffany's review, is like very grounded, very like, I'm a dad trying to live my life and put myself back together, and then sort of dealing with these like larger cosmic concepts. Tom Trader says, not the Age of Ultron problem. I mean, that's a fairly apt, I would say that's a fairly apt comparison. Drag.
Yeah. Honestly, I think Love and Thunder is a really good comparison as well. In that, like, it feels like they're trying to do something, and then they got carried away trying to do that thing, and they forgot what the movie's supposed to be about.
Yeah, I do think the most fun character goes like this a lot. And if you've seen it, like, that might make sense to you.
I know exactly who you're talking about, but also I kind of just want you to do that for a lot.
I'm Kermit, like, you can actually see my C2E2 shirt if I do this. Whee!
Oh, you're on brand. I love it.
There we go. Yeah, it's a cool shirt that no one can see. Isn't it cool? I think so. The microphone's in the way. Not Weekend at Ultra. But I mean, ultimately, like with all movie reviews, like anyone watching, like, I encourage you, if you want to see it, go see it, make up your own mind.
Yes, very much. And again, I think there was an audience, especially the screening I saw, who were like left and were loving it. And the two, there's post-credit scenes, no spoilers, but there are post-credit scenes. And, again, they produced gasps. They did their job. Like, people were leaving the theater being like, I can't believe blah happened. Yeah. I will say, which is always exciting.
Not to toot my own horn, but if I had not just done an episode of my podcast, Geek History Lesson, on the history of the character Kang, I would not have understood some of the things that happened in some of the after the credit scenes.
Yes, but that's kind of the point, right? Like, when
is to go home and Google what.
I remember, because I'm old, reading the comics when I started, and there was like, I don't understand.
21 is not old.
Does this look like a 21-year-old face to you?
Yes.
You know some hard-living 21-year-olds. No, but I remember reading the comics, and there's all the references to stories you don't know, and you either like decide to go along with it, or you just go. Thanks, shameless plug. You either decide to go along with it, or you decide to, search it out. And now you can, sign up to Marvel Unlimited, sign up on, again, like you said, Google. Wikipedia is great as well. You can find all the stuff out, but it's also fun to go, I don't know what that means. You
can also get a Popverse membership, because that is where you get all of the access to all of the things that we're doing, including a lot of fun, I keep saying spoiler, but I like deep dive. You have to have the context.
There's a bunch of deep dive stuff out there already by us. There's a bunch more coming up over the weekend. Some of it written by me, some of it written by other folk. And there's some really, for people who are curious about the end of Quantumania, we will explain a lot over this weekend. Plug.
You can also go listen to. Thank you, Tom. That's my shameless plug for me, because I'm in control of the comments. Joke's on you, but not the audio. The computer's in charge of the audio. Okay, Graeme, I am going to say bye one more time. I'm going to encourage everyone to go and follow you where you don't want to be followed. I adore you. Bye. Okay, friends, we have reached the end of our show today. I want to thank you all for sticking with us, for your patience, for your grace, for your love that you showed to Lamont and to Graeme. I adore them both, and I hope that if this was your first time meeting them, that you also come to adore them both and support a ton of their cool work. Also, you can find all of these stories down in the links. You can find all of these extended stories the videos here, and so much more if you go over to thepopverse.com, where we are celebrating the best in TV, movies, and comics. Get yourself a membership so that you never miss a single thing that we are creating here for you. Don't forget, said this at the top, that our next live show is Emerald City Comic Con, March 2nd to 5th in Seattle, Washington. And then it's C2E2! I really like this shirt. It's really soft and really comfy, and I'm just not tall enough to show it to all of you. You can get all your merch over there as well. And don't forget, while you're here, subscribe to this channel, click that little bell. That's why the banner says that the whole time, so that you never miss a single episode of Enter the Popverse. You get to see everything that we are doing here every Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern time, and 6 p.m. British Standard Time. I'm pretty sure the time zone is called British Standard Time. That's what I've kept saying. If it's not, please tell me. Thank you again. Have a wonderful day, my friends. Stay safe. I adore you, and I will see you next time.